blur-speed neoclassical triplets, two-handed legato tapping, and gravity drop whammy bar plunges, the 23-year-old guitarist established a new year zero for his fellow players. On hearing it, guitarists inevitably had two questions. How the fuck is he doing that? And how can I copy it? The most iconic instrumental showcase since Jimi Hendrix's Woodstock savaging of the Star-Spangled Banner, Eruption served to bisect hard rock's timeline into pre-EVH and post-EVH, creating both a generation of inferior copycat technicians and, arguably of greater significance, a subculture of alternative rock guitarists who, awed and daunted by Eddie's virtuosity, sought to focus instead on fashioning less technical, more individualistic approaches to playing the instrument. Eddie, of course, had his own influences. Early Eric Clapton, Alvin Lee, Jimmy Page, Pete Townsend, Jeff Beck, and Alan Holdsworth, to name but a few. But in terms of a mindset and modus operandi underpinning his approach to the guitar, it may be instructive to remove any identification with England's rock aristocracy and, instead, recenter Eddie spiritually with California's Z-Boys skateboard crew of the mid-1970s. Tony Alva, Jay Adams, Stacy Peralta, Peggy Oki. Fearless, questing, daredevil athletes who constantly pushed boundaries, both physical and psychological. Like Tony Alva with a wooden deck and polyurethane wheels beneath his feet, Eddie felt at his most weightless with wood and wires in his hands. Uncontainable, unstoppable, unchained. As with the Z-Boys launching themselves into empty suburban California swimming pools, Eddie's approach to guitar solos was to leap into the unknown, with no preconceived idea of where, or indeed how, he might land, and no fear of the descent. Like a skater, too, he viewed the bumps and dips of the landscape stretching before him as a space for free expression. And where others saw obstacles, he saw opportunities. Edward has a sense of adventure, David Lee Roth once noted approvingly. He will dive headfirst. We'll see if there's water in the pool later. I met Eddie Van Halen only once, at his 5150 studio facility in the grounds of his Los Angeles home, in spring 1998. With its twin-seater Sega Daytona USA racing game, Twister pinball machine, Asteroids arcade game, widescreen TV, and racks of video cassettes and CDs, the studio's reception room resembled a teenage boy's idea of an adult male's home. But the juxtaposition in the kitchen of a photograph of Eddie and Alex's childhood home in Nijmegen, Holland, with a huge, gleaming Recording Industry Association of America presentation plaque acknowledging their group's 60 million U.S. record sales, was a striking reminder of just how far Jan and Eugenia Van Halen's boys had come. The man of the house could not have been more gracious or hospitable, proffering non-alcoholic beers before taking a seat on a black couch alongside his band's new vocalist, former Extreme frontman Gary Cherone, ready to talk up Van Halen's third act, which was being heralded by the St. Patrick's Day release of the quartet's 11th studio album, Van Halen 3. He spoke about his love for a 6-year-old son Wolfie, telling how the pair would take trips together to the beach to collect stones to fashion into plectrums, and shared his regret at the demands of his job taking him away from his actress wife, Valerie Bertinelli. Speaking of his pressing need for a hip replacement operation, he noted, "I'm just a fucking old jerk like anyone else." But when he picked up one of his signature series guitars and began tapping out the riff to Drop Dead Legs on the fretboard, his well-lined face seemed to shed the wear and tear of the past 15 years in an instant. Over the course of the next hour, as he shared war stories from his 25 years in the rock and roll business, that guitar never left his hands. It sang, it roared, it squealed, it grumbled, it spat, and often it seemed to laugh aloud, with Eddie smiling and laughing too, seemingly scarcely able to believe the sounds he was making.